on this rather grey and cold day. We have a packed agenda of many different items, but we will try and get through them speedily and efficiently and effectively. First of all, can I ask if there are any apologies for absence? I think we've had two. I think one is Councillor Watson and the other is Councillor Renner-Thompson. I don't think there are any more. So thank you for that. We've got the minutes of the last meeting that was held on the 12th of November. And I will sign those at the end if everybody is happy with that. Yes, are you proposed and seconded? All in favour? That then takes us on to disclosures of members' interests. If anyone has any, please go through the routine that we need to go through, or declare them now if you wish to, if you have any. And if not, then I will proceed into the first paper, which is agenda item 4, which is our Q1 and Q2 corporate performance report. Now, this is a new piece of work for us. It's a fresh approach to what is actually a really important function of any business, which is to be clear about how each particular part of that business is functioning, how well or whether there needs to be improvement, making sure that the targets are effective and achievable, but then necessarily tough in some cases, in order to continue the improvement that we have seen in this council over recent years, and then to make sure that we can actually challenge those results and acknowledge success in equal measure. So I think the key thing is in this report, and I hope members of the public will be able to have a look at it, it's a really good way of presenting where we currently are in terms of our three key priorities. And I think probably everybody is sick of me saying this, and I'm sure everybody knows what our three key priorities are. That is to provide value for money for our council taxpayers, to tackle inequalities, and to bring business, jobs and opportunities, confidence to the county. And I think it's very clear from this report that we are achieving substantial progress in all of those areas. And we also monitor Oflog, which is a government department, who also run performance indicators, sometimes not quite as up to date as ours, but they do run those, and we closely monitor what they are saying, and also our comparators in and around the North East region. So it's very important that we take this as a real important tool for improvement, but actually all members and all the council and our residents understand what we're doing as well. So that I really welcome this fresh approach. And I'm very grateful to Jill Davison, who's led on this bit of work, along with other members of staff. And I'm also grateful because we offered the opportunity to the opposition leaders to play a part in creating this new way of monitoring performance, and I think we did get some helpful input into that. So thanks to them as well. So, in terms of what have we done as a result of this? Well, we have carried out a series of deep dives, which is our term for looking at a particular service in much greater detail. And we've looked at waste and recycling, highways and communities, and children. Do children have the best start? And we do those as a group between ourselves as a strategic leadership team with a cabinet and with executive directors and other heads of service, so that we can actually understand all the detail of every single service in much more clarity, and where things are going well and where things might need a little bit more in terms of input. And I think that the real value of this is to applaud those things that are doing well and to help those things that aren't doing so well, so that we can actually be quite clear about what we are achieving. So if we look at value for money, for example, We know that we are making progress, good progress, in terms of delivering value for money. And so far as our services are concerned, we have continued to provide value for money for council taxpayers by the new Super Schools programme that is seeing 3 new super schools being built, the new leisure centres, and the tremendous leisure opportunity that we offer in Northumberland. Free car parking in town centres is a tremendous boon for not just our businesses and residents, but also for those small businesses that work in town centres. Really important function that we continue that. And of course, moving into County Hall from other buildings that we perhaps can now we don't need to use, and we've got several examples in here in this paper of work that we're doing, and how we are saving I think nearly £700,000 in this financial year with this work. And as everyone knows as well, we are currently running our BEST programme, which has been tried before in other administrations, where transformation projects and looking at how we do and provide all our services is analysed and given significant input by outside consultants and so on. What we are doing this year and last year and next year will be to make sure that we continue that process that we have at best and make sure that we can run our services incredibly efficiently. Tackling inequalities, well, how best to tackle inequalities? To provide the right homes in the right places for people. To make sure that the schools offer that we have is second to none. And actually, we know that Northumberland schools, primary schools, are in the top quartile in the country, which I'm incredibly proud and grateful to our staff for getting us there. And our children's services are outstanding. So we are very keen as an administration to continue to provide affordable homes. We set ourselves a target some years ago of 1,000. We're just about on 2,000 now, so we have overachieved our target significantly, and I'm very grateful for that. Our skills training to help people build confidence and build skills so that they can move into jobs and opportunities. We know that there are well over 2,000 enrolments in our Northumberland Skills programme, which is tremendous news. I'm very grateful for the proactive development of warm spaces and all the support that we offer people who need our help the most. And the really effective work that we do with organisations like the CAB to reach out and to help those people who are in danger this winter of becoming cold and through the lack of effective housing perhaps, or expensive fuel. And of course some have lost their winter fuel allowance. So we are there to help them where we can. So thanks very much to the voluntary groups and the CIB for all the work they do. And finally, driving economic growth. Well, we are getting more investment into Northumberland than at any time in the history of the council. We received millions and millions from the previous government, which is seeing very significant work in Blythe and Ashington and across the county. The Borderlands programme is ploughing money into rural projects that would not normally happen, and one of the most exciting ones currently on the go is the Hadrian's Wall Partnership. The Northumberland line will start running for passengers in just a few days, and that is a wonderful thing to be able to say. Similarly, soon we will see the data centre investment moving forward, subject to planning, of course, and we will see the jobs and the opportunities arising from there. So we are absolutely determined, and I'm very grateful to Richard Wormuth, who leads for us on this subject, to find those jobs, to train those people, to give the confidence to people who want to come and invest in this county, who want to work here, to want to live here, that this is a very special place, and it will continue to do so. So that's why I'm really grateful for this report, because it lays out all of that work, how we are achieving on them, and the proud performance that we can be really grateful for in those services and those priorities. So there are some recommendations which are to consider progress on the corporate plan priorities, and that is what I would like to propose, and seconded by Wojciech. Are there any questions? Are there any questions on this or queries? I think you all share the gratitude for our new approach to performance management. Richard Wearmouth.
You were very thorough, Leader. I don't think I could add anything.
John Riddle.
Thank you, Chair. I think, it does just emphasise how change has happened, and it's great to see, and also, reinforces the fact that Northumberland is the land of great opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed for that. So, thank you for the report. There we are. The recommendation has been proposed and seconded. Are you all in favour? And that is unanimous. Can we move on to agenda item 5? I'm afraid it's me again, but I will try and be as brief as I can. But this is a hugely important subject. So what we want to do today is to agree to start work on a new housing policy. We are grateful indeed and very lucky to have Rob Burfin, who is leading for us on economic development in terms of planning, and has all of the experience and knowledge and skills to take us forward in this exciting step. This administration has been very keen to deliver affordable houses, and we are achieving that. What we need to make sure of is that the government understand that building new houses will not necessarily provide the suitability or the affordability that we want to see. Northumberland is a very special place. It's not like Docklands or a Manhattan skyline. It is a very special place, and I want everyone that lives in Northumberland that wants to contribute to a local plan to do so. And we went through this process some years ago when we were incredibly thorough in producing the local plan that we have now. That local plan is due to be refreshed in 2027, but we think that given some of the statements that are being given at the moment, given the need to be clear to everyone about the fact that Northumberland and Northumberland County Council needs to lead on development in the county, that we want to bring that date forward, if we can, and start involving as many people as we can in that process. So, if I can quote from the report, work on the new strategy will be supported by the delivery of affordable housing of suitable types and tenures. As I said before, we are working hard with others to provide affordable homes, but we need to do more. We need to find more affordable homes in rural and very rural areas, if we can. One of the projects that we're working on at the moment with the St Homes, who will be key partners, is the Berwick Seton Hall development, who we are joint partners with Benicia. And there we see homes for rent and affordable homes at that. Then updating the Home Finder system, which has been used slightly as a political football recently. So we want to make sure that the Home Finder, the Home Finder system is used for the proper means that we feel it should be used for. So that it will prioritise those in greatest need, which it does now, but we need to make sure that that continues. And specifically, those with requirements or at risk of homelessness, of course. The system will still be based on choice-based letting, but changes will be made to the way the system handles out-of-county applications and also registrations where people do not have an identified need. And then the need to review the local plan, and we have a local plan and many other councils don't, to make sure that that allows all residents to influence the way this county moves forward, and so that the special nature of Northumberland is fully acknowledged and recognised, and that local people have a real say in what happens. So it's it was a conference some weeks ago that looked at inequalities around housing, and we know that poor housing can lead to a 21% increase in poor health. And that is a very bad statistic to have, and I want to make sure that we deal with that. And so that's another another point within our paper here. That means that places like, for example, the Hurst in Ashington will be developed through this new master plan that we are working on with our key partners, so that we will see a difference there and we will see real improvement. So it's a very ambitious piece of paper that we are looking at here. It's a very ambitious statement that we're making because we want to deal with these incredibly important issues and get on with it at a time when there is some debate going on about the future and who best should be leading on development in this county. And I firmly believe it should be Northumberland County Council. I think we've done a very, very good job so far. And I think that the team that we have in place, led by Rob Murphin, is second to none. So there we are. That summarises this paper. I'm going to propose the recommendations, which are to consider and agree and set out in the report to inform a new county-wide Northumberland housing strategy, agree the issues within the report which will inform the Northumberland local plan review, the Housing Revenue HRA 30-year budget setting process, the Council's social housing regulation assurance framework, and the Council's work with partners to tackle inequalities. So I'm formally proposing those as a recommendation. Is a seconder? There is seconder. Thank you, Councillor Stewart. So before we take a vote, can I see if there are any questions or queries? Colin Horncastle first.
Thank you, Leader. This paper allows us to have a far more coordinated approach to housing. You've been through most of the salient points there, but this allows us to properly identify some of the problems we've got, because housing is such a huge issue. Sometimes it's very easy just to concentrate on the headline figures, but this allows us to drill down into where the problems in housing lies. And some of the real problems we've got is, we can say this administration has provided nearly 2,000 affordable homes, and there's another 1,400 in the pipeline, but that doesn't solve some of the problems we've got. We've got the problems up the coast with holiday homes. We've got the lack of rental accommodation in the rural countryside where the rents are really high. So this is always look at that, and some of the we've set off down this road already. Some of the things you've mentioned, selective licensing in the Blythe area to improve the lives of tenants, which is excellent. The Hurst Master Plan, which is one of the most disadvantaged, deprived areas in the country, not just the county. But some of the real, why this is timely is because we've got a new NPPF coming, because we've got a new government. We're getting the results of the consultation coming very soon. And although we do have up-to-date local plan, it's less than 2 years old, which is so far better than many other authorities. We are already looking at updating it. Some important things in there, we don't know what's going to come out of it, but because of the increase in housing, we're going to have to review the 5-year housing land supply. So this is a really, really important document. It pulls all the strands together, and I fully endorse it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor Stewart.
Yes, thank you, Leader. I do support this item as well. I think we should have the right houses, the right homes for people in the right areas and the right types. We're a modern, forward-thinking council here, and we've got diverse communities. We've got a wide geographical area. My main concern at the moment is many town and parish councils aren't looking at a neighbourhood plan, and they should be. It's so important. I visited a town council recently and emphasised this point to them. Unfortunately, they were a bit slow in taking it up. And I will be pushing them again to consider that, bearing in mind the changes which this new government's put in place, which could cause a lot of issues.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for that. Councillor Jones and then Councillor Wearmouth.
Thank you. I think a lot of what I want to say has just been said, but I just want to say what an excellent report it is. You know, it's linked to our inequalities plan. We know that poor housing is linked to poor health, and that's really important. We did hold our inequalities conference in October based on housing and the ongoing work with the Health and Wellbeing Board, and I just think this all links together, and I'm really pleased to see it. So,
Absolutely, and thank you for all the work that you're doing in this area. Richard Wearmouth.
Thank you, Leader. You're all far too polite, I have to say, because it's a really important paper, but it's an important paper because of the mess that we could potentially be landed in by the government. When we came to office in 2017, we inherited a horrible position from the previous Labour Council. There was no local plan in place. There was out-of-control development where developers could fling in planning applications wherever the hell they wanted, and the consequence for us was that we were left picking up the pieces. We were left putting the infrastructure in place that was never negotiated because it wasn't properly planned. And so we need undoubtedly to get ahead of the curve. This report has some really interesting numbers in it. We've built during the local plan period 12,400 houses. We've not been at all slacking in that. We've been taking more than our fair share, and that includes close to 2,000 affordable homes, which is core to everything that we want to do to make sure that we've got houses for Northumberland residents in our communities. There's still 10,000 houses waiting to be built on our list. That's a huge number, and yet the government is increasing our housing target by 222%, while simultaneously they're cutting targets in London and in Newcastle, and you'll see in the opposition group in Newcastle take to the airwaves and so on over the course of the last week or so, saying what on earth is going on, where on earth are they going to get the growth from in Newcastle that they need when it's all effectively being redirected to concrete over green fields in Northumberland. It's not what they want, it's not what we want. The further backdrop that you will have seen over the weekend, the government threatening to impose greenbelt deletion, which we will absolutely fend off. We have fended it off before. We don't need to release huge tracts of greenbelt, and Angela Rayner should not be eyeing up Northumberland in that regard. Nor should she be making comments like stopping local representatives making decisions on major applications. That's absolutely appalling and not something that we welcome here in this council. So what does this paper and what does this work allow us to do? Well, it's brilliant work by Colin, by Rob and the team, because it actually makes sure that we've got that evidence base, that we're continuing to make sure that we're ahead of the game, that we can get the right houses in the right place, because we don't want another Labour housing free-for-all in our council area. It will lead absolutely to our infrastructure becoming overloaded, and places that do want houses won't get them for the simple fact that it'll be so much easier to concrete over more countryside around Morpeth, Cramlington, Ponteland and the like. So really, really important work. Well done, and look forward to see it progressing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else? To summarise, it is a very important step for us to take. I am absolutely confident in the team led by Rob Murphy that we can make the progress we want to see with pace. We need to sort out all of those issues that Richard Wearmouth has raised. As part of NECA, the North East Combined Authority, it is absolutely right that we play our part and that we make the region work well together. However, it was very clear through all the early stages of negotiation that Northumberland is, if you like, a sovereign place, a sovereign state that will not have views imposed upon it by either NECA or by central government that it opposes. And we've been very clear about where we want to see housing delivery, where we wanted to see investment take place in terms of business and opportunities, in terms of new schools, in terms of new leisure centres. And I think we have a very proud record. And I do not wish to allow this opportunity to slip by without it making clear that we are absolutely bound by this, if we agree it today, that we will lead our own future, and that those residents who live in Northumberland will lead our own future. As I said before, this is not a Manhattan skyline. It is not a Docklands. This is Northumberland, a very special, unique place that needs to understand its residents, listen to its residents, and take action in the interests of its residents. So with that, can I therefore ask if you agree with the recommendations to move forward at pace to deliver a new housing plan? And that's unanimous. So thank you very much indeed for that. Okay, so we move on to money. And a much improving picture, despite the difficulties that we have with getting more information as yet from government around the settlement that we so badly need. It's been made very clear and abundant to government that councils like ours that provide the services that we do to adults and for children needs to have proper funding. Without proper funding, all that happens is that we have to continue to find efficiencies and savings in other areas in order to pay the increasing budget for adults and children. We have had to find getting on for £50 million over the last 5 years to fund these essential services that are very important to us. But it is unsustainable for councils like ours to continue in this way. And so I feel sure that the government will understand all the representation they've had from the County Councils Network, for example. They will understand that and act upon it. And I look forward to seeing a really good settlement from the government when we get it. But at the moment, the signals are not one that makes me feel full of confidence. However, we will work together with government, I'm sure, to find a way forward, because adults and children are crucial. The service is fundamental, and we do both incredibly well. So, Project Plus-I, would you tell us a little bit more, please, about where we are in agenda item 6?
Thank you, Leader. So you mentioned a lot of things that I would normally mention, but here we go. The paper is actually what we will going to do to get the balanced budget in February. It presents the assumptions we have, the overspends we identified. The previous medium-term financial plan was approved, and the budget for the next year was approved by the Council last year in February. There are many assumptions, overspends, the grants we will receive or not receive from the government. There are some pay rise assumptions here, like 4%, I believe, pay rise for our staff. There is also assumption about some non-pay inflation, and there are some extraordinary ones well above the average national inflation ones, like external audit fee, which will go up nearly 10%, 9.5%, which I think it's have an impact of on our budget by about £500,000, or highways salt, which I think is, I got the number here, give me a second. £157,000, thank you, Leader. And insurance, which is, I think, about £330,000. So these are significant increases, and they're well above the average inflation we get presented every quarter by the government. So there are many pressures, especially in children's services. because of the residential care for children and also out-of-county placement in adult social care. But we discussed that every single month of the cabinet, and that's without the government help, that's not going to change. We need some probably legislation change. But given all of these assumptions, we've made a lot of work in recent days. These numbers are much different now. We are much closer to present the balanced budget in February, and I'm fairly confident that in February we'll have the good balanced budget to be presented to the full council. But to do it, we also need to engage with our stakeholders, with residents, businesses in the county. So we plan to launch our budget consultation, and I think that's going live next week. Recommendations are in front of you, and I'm proposing that report. Thank you very much.
Seconded by Councillor Wearmouth. Thank you very much for that. Yes, I think particularly some of those inflationary increases that are well above the current inflation rate just demonstrate how difficult it is to get a budget that will balance. Our insurance premiums have gone up by £300,000 in a year, and I'm astonished that at the rate that that's gone up. And our highway salt, which is so valuable and important for us to have to buy, hopefully in less amounts this winter, but we don't know what sort of winter it's going to be, by an inflationary increase of 17.5%, which is astonishing. Great progress being made. This is where we're at now. Are you all okay to accept this? No? Yes, Richard Wearmouth.
Yeah, so as ever, a lot of good work that's gone on to get to this position. I do think that we just need to highlight that we may have bumps in the road yet before we get to the budget, and we await confirmation of exactly what's going to come to us in terms of the settlement from the local government settlement. And in particular, we're looking at things like this, the scrapping of the Rural Services Delivery Grant. I mean, that's a lot of money that comes to a rural county like Northumberland, and we're being told that it's going to be repurposed. I fear that this government just doesn't understand the rural counties like Northumberland and the rural way of life, and this is going to be something that we'll be piling the pressure on with our MPs and to make sure that they get across to the Chancellor and to the Department for Communities and Local Government the impact that these sorts of things will have if we do not see funds coming into this council in a sustainable way as we have done previously. So I guess we're going to watch that space, but Wojciech and Jan have done an amazing job in getting to this position so far, as of everybody in terms of the officer team. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It is a significant worry at the moment that we haven't had a firm indication of what we might be getting to help us and our residents over the coming year. A slight concern for me is the fact that we haven't had clarification around who is going to pay for the national insurance increase. If we have to pay for that, then it's going to be an incredibly difficult budget indeed, given the staff that we have and the excellent staff that we have in order to meet that new extra tax. But I think there was some confirmation given that the government would pick it up, but we haven't had that finally confirmed yet.
There was no confirmation given. I think there was some commitment given, but we haven't seen any confirmation. Hopefully we'll see something on the 19th of December when the local government finance settlement will be announced. But at the moment we don't have any firm confirmations either.
Okay, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that we will get that necessary confirmation. Any other points or questions from anyone on this paper? Okay, so if not, it's been proposed and seconded. Are you all in favour with the recommendations? That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. So that takes us now nicely up to date with the council tax base. And I'm going to ask Councillor Pajai again to tell us.
Thank you, Leader. So that's the next report, which leads us to the budget in February. It sounds exciting, but we are not deciding the council tax rate or anything like that here. We are just doing the foundation works to set the council tax later on. And basically, we're working with Valuation Office Agency to calculate the number of dwellings in Band D equivalent in the county. And from the recent numbers, it looks like we had an increase of about 4,800 Band D equivalents from last year. But I just, when I'm speaking, I just want to give you some interesting statistics. So there were 1,800, nearly 1,900 more dwellings in the county, shown on the valuation list compared to last year. There were 724 more dwellings subject to 25% reduction on the grounds of single person discount, when I think that might be affected, because I think government had some plans about scrapping that discount. Not sure if that went ahead. There were 116 fewer equivalent number of dwellings entitled to council tax support than last year. And there is also a significant movement in second homes premium that will come into effect in April next year, where second homes will be charged extra 100% premium on council tax, and where legislation is still not clear. We know that there will be some exempts from that, but we assume that 90% of the properties that we currently have registered as second homes will be paying that premium, which at the moment we think it will impact about 3,700 properties. And that's just a little bit of stats which I found interesting in this report. And that's it. We are setting our council tax base based on the data from Valuation Office Agency. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. So we are recommended to approve the council tax base as detailed and explained by Councillor Pojai. Are you proposing that? Yes, of course. And seconded by Councillor Jones. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Leader. There are unfortunately huge inflationary pressures on adult social care commissioning services, and current estimates are around 6 million.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so anything else? Can we accept the recommendation? Could you show, please? All in favour? Yep, that's unanimous. So we now turn to the position that we were in terms of financial performance at the end of September. And we are, as I said at the beginning, an improving picture.
Correct. So in June, I presented a very similar report, which shown 6.766 million overspent, and we are down to 5.996 now. So we had a little bit of an improvement here, but we still got extraordinary pressures in adults and children, and that cost keeps growing. We also had a little reduction in planning fee income, which is more than we less income than we expected. But we had additional income to offset that, which was extra 1 million from the sales of shares in Newcastle Airport, reduction in borrowing costs of about 1 million, same with decrease in minimum revenue provision by about 1 million, and there is also some other changes and use of reserves. So the position is still challenging, like I mentioned in the previous item, but we are doing everything what we can to improve, and I know that executive directors are working very hard to find some solutions for that until government comes with permanent solution with some extra funding to these challenges. So I recommend this report and all recommendations that are in front of you, and I propose it. Thank you.
Excellent. And so thanks to you and thanks to the staff for getting us into this stronger position, and all the processes that have been put in place to ensure that we got to where we want to be. It's still a difficult position because, as we just said, we don't know what the government settlement might be, and also because the adults and children remain incredibly important to us, but still a very expensive part of our council to run, increasingly so. Not just us, though, all similar authorities that have those same roles and responsibilities are finding the same issues. Are there any questions or queries anyone wants to raise? Okay, so can we accept the recommendation? Would you show, please? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. So now, some new capital proposals, and I'm going to ask Councillor Wiermer to take us through these.
Thank you, Leader. So there's two on the agenda today. The first one relates to some works to complement the regeneration of Blythe Town Centre. So this is particularly around the Market Square and the new cinema complex that's going in there with the pavilion. So this is looking at some road resurfacing, just to set the piece off and make sure that the area looks absolutely top-notch when it's finished. And then the second part of the funding for that particular item is relating to the refurbishment of the public toilets in the marketplace as well. Very important, because they're not looking at their best at the moment, so far as I'm told. Certainly when you walk past them, they don't look great, and I've not been in them. But that's the first bit of funding, and very important too. The second part, it relates to Cramlington regeneration works. So you'll remember that you've identified £3.5 million in the capital programme for works around Cramlington town. It is not a beneficiary, unlike virtually every town in the county, of a town deal or a future high street fund or a borderlands fund, and we were determined alongside our Cramlington members that Cramlington wouldn't miss out on some form of funding, so that funding is there. And the first part of that is seeking to make significant improvements to the cycle network. Cramlington has a good cycle network already, but it is looking a little bit tired in places. It needs some bits that connect it better, and so you'll see in the agenda there a series of works that will include 2 kilometres of improved cycle track network, including links to the Learning Village, which is soon to be entirely rebuilt. We await confirmation on the programming for that, but that was something that the last government committed to before it left office. You've got other connections there to schools and key parts of the town as part of that 2 kilometre improvement. There'll no doubt be more in the future, and there's a whole host of other works that are included in the town improvement plan for Cramlington, and they'll be coming to future cabinets as soon as we can get them here. I'm happy to move the recommendations.
Okay, so there are the 2 schemes and the recommendations proposed and seconded. Any questions or points anyone would like to make, particularly around the public toilets in Blythe, which are needing some work, and along with all the other money that we're spending improving toilets across the county, it's a worthy candidate. John Riddle.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, it is, something that needs to be done, and we do value, and I'm sure the public and visitors do value, the facility of public conveniences, and they did need upgrading, and that is certainly what is happening there. I also want to touch on the cycle paths and things and the walking routes, because until recently I was chair of the cycling and walking board, and I know that local members have been certainly bending my ear for quite a long time about the condition of some of these paths, and really, to be spending 168,000 on resurfacing these paths is going to make a real difference. I know that it will be very much welcomed and they will be well used, so it's definitely money that's going to be well spent.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And I'd like to praise the Cramlington councillors who have made such a fantastic job at putting forward schemes that are relevant and will be really well used for Cramlington. As Richard Wearmouth said, this £3.5 million that the County Council allocated to Cramlington was in recognition of the vision that Wayne Daly and others, the Town Council, had around reinvigorating certain parts of the town. Cramlington is growing rapidly, and it was absolutely right that they should have money to ensure that those things that meant a lot to residents were given some attention. I'd particularly like to say well done to them on the dementia village that they are looking at, along with the schemes here. And I personally am really pleased that these have come forward to us and that we can hopefully agree them today. So well done to them, and great step to take, and hopefully it'll, well, I know it will be the first of many that they will take over the coming year or two. Are you all happy with this? Could you show by agreeing the recommendation? Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. And that takes us to our final report, which I shall just take because Councillor Renner-Thompson, who would normally take this, has some can't make it today. This report highlights the great work that we are doing with schools across the county, with our schools improvement team and everyone within the department here. They must be good because Ofsted said they were outstanding. So it's a worthy testament to all the work and passion and skills that we have within that department that got us that Ofsted rating. More so, the good working that we have with schools right across the county, and the pride that we have in the fact that we have improved so much over recent years. I think there was a time, previous administration, we were well down in Ofsted ratings. Now we are in the top quartile. I think it's 95% of our primary schools are rated good or outstanding, when the average in the UK is 90%. That's a fantastic achievement. So it's down to our teams, it's down to the schools, it's down to the governors, the heads, and it's down to the children themselves and the students themselves for creating this great education offer that we have in Northumberland now. So thank you for that partnership working. We're also very proud of Northumberland Skills, who currently have something over 2,000 running through courses that will build their confidence, that will give them new skills, that will open a door to a new future, to a job. And we know that with our Northumberland line and with our new development, our new data centre development, and other opportunities that are cropping up all the time, that there will be jobs, despite the fact that there is some uncertainty around the national insurance tax increase and so on. There will be jobs and there will be opportunities. So that is a tremendous achievement. Over 2,000 people learning new skills. The support that we give through early years settings and special needs support and service, which is hugely important for us, for every child that it has special needs, is just as important as any child in mainstream schools. Our learning and skills service and our schools organisation and resources, along with the schools improvement team that I said before. And so finally, we should be grateful indeed to the work that and the passion that Guy Renner-Thompson has as our cabinet member, and as the teams that working with us, and the schools, and the governors, and the heads, and everyone involved. It's a great report, and I'm incredibly pleased to be able to propose the recommendations, which are there before you. There are 4, and I so propose, and seconded by Councillor Wearmouth. Are there any questions or queries or any points that anyone would like to raise arising from this report? Yes, Councillor Stewart.
Yes, thank you, Chair. You highlighted great success from the officers, the schools, the parents and the young people since 2017. I am a governor at 2 schools in this county and I've seen huge developments there. Northumberland Skills, can I just highlight one point, which is post-16 cent provision. It's absolutely fantastic, a great advocate for that. Northumberland Skills yesterday, delighted they were with me at the King's Trust, as it's now called, at the Fire and Rescue Headquarters. The fantastic work they're doing there with young people from across Northumberland. And also something really passionate about was the family hubs, which you had the pleasure of your company at one recently. I won't mention where, but the fantastic work that they are doing now. So it's a pat on the back for everybody.
Yes, thank you very much indeed. You took me to a school in Prudder that was an incredibly impressive school, which I enjoyed meeting the head there. And I really enjoy going to schools and meeting the people involved, because they all seem so, alive and full of passion and full of enthusiasm and motivation. So that, I remember that one particularly well.
Yeah, I'll just point out there, leader, that school failed its Ofsted very badly pre-2017. It's now, delighted to say, are very good. The numbers are picking up as well in a troubling time, based next door to a family hub, which is outstanding.
Quite right, thank you. Councillor Wimmer.
Thanks, Leader, just to emphasise really, and to say thank you to Audrey, David and the team. Amazing job, amazing transformation in education. 95%, are we on 94, 95%? Good and outstanding for schools. But added to that, outstanding in terms of the work here in County Hall. Outstanding across the board for the college. We've got hundreds of millions of pounds going into schools or gone into schools and continuing to go into schools. We're managing to, well, we've seen new SEND provision in association with the government. We've got more schools like Cramlington Learning Village being rebuilt as well. And then in addition, we've got the most amazing amount of work going on in terms of vocational training and all through life education. It is absolutely fantastic, and I talk to a lot of employers. They're delighted by how things are. The idea that you could go in a town, for example, like Blythe, where you've got one sixth form from two schools, and now you've got the facility at the port in terms of STEM activity, but you've got the prospect of the Energy Central Institute, where we're going to have universities like Durham University attracted to the centre of Blythe. If people had looked at that before we came into office back in 2017, they'd have said that you were mad with this council languishing in the bottom quartile for performance. It's an amazing turnaround. And it's a brilliant report to read, and it's one that just gets better every year, which is, I don't know how on earth you're going to better it next time and the time after that, but I know that you will manage it. So well done, everybody involved. Thank you.
Yeah, a very well-deserved note of acknowledgement and gratitude. Across all the teams that work within our schools director, and there are a number of different streams. I was just thinking about the Education Welfare Service, for example. Really important function. So to all of the teams, to everyone involved, a big thank you. And it is great reading to see that one of the most important functions in terms of tackling inequalities, in terms of value for money, and in terms of creating jobs, education has got to be the top of the list. Was it not Tony Blair that used to say, education, education, education? And I think...
I bet he couldn't spell it.
And I think I'm right in saying that for us, education has been one of our top priorities. And without the passion and the skill of our staff right across the county, we would not be where we are today. So thank you very much indeed for that. And I'm deeply proud and grateful. So there we are. This is the report being proposed and seconded. Are you happy with those proposals? So that's all agreed. That takes us, I have no urgent business, it takes us to the end of our meeting.